Greetings and welcome to another edition of the Jacksonville Buzz. I am your host, Adrienne Houghton. Now, joining me in the studio today is Dr. Kristy Harvell, and she's the founder of Health by Design. Good morning, Kristy.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Absolute delight. And it's been a couple of years since I've seen you.
That's right.
So let's let the audience know exactly what Health by Design does.
Sure. So we like to say we're a full-service health and wellness center. The main things that we do are chiropractic, nutrition response testing, and kinesiology. And that's just a fancy word for muscle testing.
Oh, wow.
So I like to say that because if people know what muscle testing is, they need to know we're there because they're looking for it.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Now, is this considered alternative medicine?
Yeah, alternative or holistic.
And how does that differ really from traditional medicine?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference is that we're not focused on symptoms, right? Like, oftentimes we say, like, traditional healthcare, it's really sick care because you don't really go saying, I feel amazing, I'm well. The doctor's kind of like, great, keep doing what you're doing. They don't have a whole lot to offer you. So this is more preventative, proactive medicine, and we focus on getting to the underlying root of what the symptoms are.
Now, I mean, we're getting extremely close to Father's Day, and I think it's a well-known fact that men really don't like to go to the doctors.
It's true. We recorded a whole podcast. Like, we'll give them the link because it's kind of humorous, right?
So why is that?
Yeah, there's been so much research and studies and publications on this, and I came up with 7 reasons. And, you know, they vary from, like, I think men were just taught, like, be tough and walk it off and not to complain, you know?
Right. Women
kind of make fun of them, like they don't ask for directions when they're lost, that kind of a thing. They'll just figure it out themselves or go it alone. And then there's even things about like lack of trust. You know, they'll say they don't trust doctors. Maybe they've had a negative experience through the traditional measures, and so they're kind of a little trepidatious or skeptical. They don't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah.
And then we always are coaching, well, you know, I think it was Benjamin Franklin said, like, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it's kind of like, you got to just change your mind frame a little bit. Like, if you don't pay for it now in prevention, you pay for it later in more reactionary care.
So how do we get through to men? How do we actually
humor?
I don't know. Humor. Do you offer specific services for men?
Yeah, we do. I mean, they do come in for some of the same things that our female patients come in for, but some of the specific things that I think finally motivate men, because they do tend to wait until things are a little more progressed, where it's starting to interfere with life or business or productivity or family, you know, and then they would come in. So, you know, things about sleeping and just normal stress issues, fatigue. Men come in for weight loss issues as well, but also an ability to gain weight if they can't build muscle, because we naturally lose muscle mass as we get older, and that can interfere with strength and performance. And then hormone issues. I know we always think of hormone in women, but men have urogenital issues, prostate issues related to hormones. So a lot of that can be handled naturally and through diet as well. Cardiovascular issues are higher in men. They come in for hair loss. That's the funny thing. I always say, like, they could be not sleeping, irritable, you know, muscle wasting, all these other things, but then they start losing the hair, and they're like, okay, time out. Like, I gotta figure something out here.
There's the vanity.
And we have it as women too. I mean,
it's true. It's true. So June actually is Men's Health Month.
It is.
So what tips can you give to men for this particular month that they might listen to?
I know. Good question. Well, I think it's just to give themselves a little TLC too. You know, women tend to be a little bit better in the self-care department, but if we could teach men that, like, it's not unmasculine or you know, it's not a sign of weakness if they don't take care of themselves, and don't let it become a bigger problem too, right? So I always say this, the sooner you intervene, the more choices you have as far as what I do, or holistic, or being able to handle something with diet and lifestyle. The longer you wait, the bigger of a problem it progresses to be, and then you lose your autonomy and your choices. So maybe that'll help.
Yeah, maybe it will. And I mean, you know, I'm sure there's a number of men out there that it might get through to.
Hopefully.
Yes, prevention rather than cure.
Right.
Now, in a normal day-to-day in Health by Design, What do you see here in Northeast Florida are the most common problems?
Yeah, it's really interesting because I'm from upstate New York, and you'd think like different climate, different regions, but it's the same. It's all conditions related to stress, honestly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, stress is related to 95% of all diseases.
And do you think that's because as a nation, we've gone through a number of things over the last few years, and that has added to it?
It definitely has added to it, but it's funny because that was already the case, and then you add what's been going on in the media and the pandemic and, jobs and financial issues, and it's just magnified. Like, people are really overwhelmed right now. Mm-hmm.
Kristy, it's always an absolute pleasure to talk to you. Let's not make it 2 years.
Yes.
Where can people find you? How do they get hold of you?
Good idea. So healthbydesignfl.com is our website, and then from there you'll see we're on social media. We have a YouTube channel. There's tons of free content, and also Weird Works is our podcast. And the 7 reasons why men don't go to doctors, followed with a female's commentary of 4 reasons why we want you to, is on the Weird Works podcast.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you for coming in. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And don't forget, if you'd like to know any more information, you can also find it out at iwannabuzz.com.